Good morning, Mr. Okeke.
Keep your good morning to yourselves. Bring out your mathematics notes. If you know you didn't do your mathematics assignment, you better start preparing your casket.
In the heart of Grammar Secondary School, nestled between old, creaky buildings and surrounded by the constant hum of students complaining about homework, there was a legend. It wasn't a ghost or a mythical creature. No. This was far worse, Mr. Okeke, the headmaster with a reputation that could make the toughest of students break into a cold sweat. Everyone knew Mr. Okeke wasn't the average headmaster. He didn't give speeches about dreaming big or being kind. Instead, he was the embodiment of fear. The stories of his odd hours of classroom visits, his collection of long canes that seemed to grow longer with every passing year, and his unpredictable burst of anger were whispered about like secret curses. It was the start of another week at Grammar Secondary School. The sun was barely up, but the students were already in a frenzy. Rumors had been circulating for days. Mr. Okeke was back after his mysterious absence for an entire week. No one knew where he had gone, and no one dared ask. But the rumors, they were impossible to ignore. I heard he's come back with a new cane, twice as long as the last one, whispered Tolu, a classmate from 3C. His wide eyes and fidgeting hands said everything. You're joking, replied Ngozi, her voice low with fear. Do you know what happened to Chijioke last time he used the new cane? He couldn't sit down for a whole week. That's how bad it was. The tension was thick. Every student was suddenly hyper-aware of the sound of their shoes hitting the pavement, the soft rustling of papers in their backpacks, and even the slightest cough. Everyone knew Mr. Okeke was watching. Even the walls had ears. Or at least, that's what they thought. The bell rang, signaling the start of the first period. As the students filed into the classroom, trying their best not to look suspicious, they noticed something strange. The door was locked. Has anyone seen Mr. Okeke today? A student asked nervously. Before anyone could answer, the door suddenly burst open with an ear-splitting creak. And there he stood, Mr. Okeke, his silhouette framed by the harsh lights from the hallway. In his hand was the now infamous long cane, which, despite its intimidating presence, was actually a little too dramatic for its own good. It was about 12 feet long, or so it seemed, and it curved like a snake ready to strike. Good morning, class. Mr. Okeke boomed, his voice as deep as thunder. I trust you've all been behaving yourselves, but judging by the looks on your faces, I can see that's not true. The students flinched collectively. One brave soul, Chuka, raised his hand, trembling. Yes, sir, we've been very good, sir. Really? Mr. Okeke raised an eyebrow. He took a step forward, the cane tapping on the floor with an eerie rhythm, like a clock counting down the seconds to doom. Then explain to me, he said, his voice growing dangerously calm, why I overheard that some of you are planning a midnight snack party in the school garden. Midnight snack party. The students gasped. Who had dared to plan such an event? They knew better than to break the rules in front of Mr. Okeke. I'll tell you what, Mr. Okeke continued, now pacing in front of the class. I'll let you all off the hook this time. But there's one condition. The class collectively held its breath. You will all answer one question. The question I ask will determine if you are worthy of mercy. Chuka, stand up. Chuka's knees buckled. But he obeyed. He stood up slowly, his heart racing in his chest. Mr. Okeke turned to him and asked, what is the capital of Nigeria? Abuja, sir. Chuka replied quickly, relief flooding his face. But Mr. Okeke didn't stop there. He smirked. What is the capital of Nigeria? He repeated, this time his tone much sharper. Abuja, sir. Chuka said again, his voice a little less confident this time. Wrong. Mr. Okeke barked, causing the class to gasp. The capital is your future if you fail to learn anything in this school. The students stared at him in shock. What did he mean? What kind of punishment was he setting up this time? But before anyone could process what had just happened, Mr. Okeke smiled. It wasn't a normal smile. It was a grin of victory. The day was far from over. As the clock ticked on, the students couldn't shake the feeling that Mr. Okeke would appear at any moment, like a ghost of punishment waiting to swoop in. At 2:00 p.m., just as the bell rang for the last period before dismissal, the door to the classroom opened once more. But this time, Mr. Okeke didn't walk in like an ominous figure. No, he marched in like a soldier ready for battle. Silence, he commanded. The room went still. Even the walls seemed to hold their breath. I know what you're all thinking, he said, pacing again with that long cane. You think I'll leave you alone today? You think I've had enough fun for one day? But let me make something clear. The students waited, hanging on to his every word. I'm just getting started. He smiled, and a cold shiver ran down the spines of the students. Suddenly, he pointed his cane at Chidi, who was sitting near the back of the room. Chidi, stand up. Answer this question, what does disrespect mean? Chidi froze. Was this another test? Was he going to be sent to the principal's office again? He looked around, searching for any sign of mercy. Answer me, Chidi. Mr. Okeke demanded. Chidi hesitated, but then he stood up, trembling. I think disrespect is when you ignore someone or don't listen to their instructions, sir. Mr. Okeke nodded thoughtfully, but the class was holding its breath. Good answer, Mr. Okeke said with a smirk. But remember, Chidi, disrespect comes in many forms. Like the sound of your voice when you're talking out of turn. The students laughed nervously, knowing what was coming. But this time, Mr. Okeke didn't raise his cane to punish anyone. Instead, he pointed at the door. Dismissed, he boomed. But don't think you're getting off so easily. I'll see you all tomorrow, at 3 a.m. sharp. You never know when I'll come for you. As the students rushed out of the classroom, half relieved and half terrified, they couldn't help but laugh under their breath. It was always like this with Mr. Okeke, an unpredictable rollercoaster of fear, fun, and strange lessons. But the one thing they knew for sure was that Grammar Secondary School would never be the same without the eccentric and terrifying headmaster with the long cane. And so, the legend of Mr. Okeke, the headmaster with the longest cane in town, continued to grow, half terrifying, half comical, but always leaving the students with one question: what lesson will he teach tomorrow?